Des from Aro-Tarot here, and I am refilming this because I can't not talk so much. I'm gonna try to like condense this. This ends up keep coming along every single time I've tried filming. You haven't seen the attempts, but I've attempted like twice. This is like the third time. Just to let you know, it is kind of hard to like not talk about books, specifically some where I just want to talk about. But like you don't want it to be long because you read 12 books. 12 books in a month. Yeah, I read 12 books in February, and this is my my wrap up of the month for reading. So, yeah. So, I read 12 books this month. I can't believe it's more surprising the fact that, like, I know I could have read another one or two, or wasn't the fact that I just didn't feel well the second half of the month. And so my reading was I just didn't want to read as much. And then I even had, like, another third of a book done. Like, I easily could have finished that if I was feeling better. But I didn't, so I can't even imagine how many books I could have read. Especially since I was reading books, like, in the beginning. Like, man, like, Des, you read so much. I just wasn't expecting to read that much. Like, my classes hadn't started up either, so I wanted to read a bunch. I just was surprised. But yeah, so I'm going to try to not talk about them too much because, gosh darn, it's a lot of books. I can't spend like 5 minutes on each book. You know how long that'd be? So I'm gonna try to not talk too much. But yeah, so anyway, last shelf video, I said my TBR. I only picked 2 books because, like, last month, I picked 2 books because I didn't know how many books I was gonna read. I read 6 in January, so I was like, you know, don't really know. I know I'm gonna read more than 2, but let's just choose 2 again. So I did, and I picked Six of Crows and Vicious. I didn't get to Six of Crows because my Nana is still borrowing it, and each time she's like, oh, but like, do you need to borrow it? Like, do you need to read it, like, right now? And I'll be like, Nana, I am already reading a book. Like, it's fine, chill. Like, you go ahead and read it. I own it. It's fine. So, yeah, I didn't get to it. But I'm hoping to get to it either, like, this month or, like, next month. Like, depends, because there's so many books to read. There's so many books to read. There's so many books to read, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, then the other book that I read was Vicious, which is actually it was my TBR, and I did read it, so that was actually the first book that I read in the month. And it's currently on my shelf, but my shelf just looks so nice with my Zuko and Vengeful and my Vertigo tarot box and like an art piece, and my art box, and like just my what is that? Is it carnelian? Yes, my carnelian tree. Like it all blends nicely. I don't want to pull down, so yeah. So I'll just have the picture. But yeah, I read Vicious, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. I really liked it, and it was more so just. It was more different than I thought it was going to be going in, and I love the whole like superpower, like people with superpowers and stuff. Like I just like that stuff. Like literally right now I'm reading Renegades, and I read comics, so you know I like superpower stuff. So yeah, and just the reason it got a 5 star for me instead of like a 4 was just because of the characters. I just found it really fascinating and interesting to just be reading about these characters and, like, for instance, like, just rooting for Victor. I'm like, Vic, like, you could do this. You're gonna do this. Like, you're gonna get your revenge. Like, I believe in you. And it's like, he is not a good guy, but I want him to win. You know, I just find it so interesting to have, like, a character that's he's just so set on his goal, like, that's what he's gonna do. That's his goal. Is it an exactly like... It's not like a good goal. I wouldn't say it's like an evil goal. It'd be like on the neutral side of the alignment chart. But like, yeah, I just found it so interesting. These characters. It just I really liked it. It's just really good. And then like the plan at the end, like I saw what Victor was doing, and I'm like, oh, like I was like, this is gonna be good, and then it was really good, and I really liked it. So, but yeah, the characters, like, I'm excited to get to Vengeful. I own it, so, like, if I don't get to this month, that's okay. I got so many books to read. But, yeah, just seeing the characters again, and I got bookmarks of them because, gosh darn, I did really like the characters. So, yeah, so then the next book I read, this is the one where it's like, don't talk too much, Des. I'm afraid I'm going to talk too much, because I wrote a lot about this book. And I read Girl Made of Stars, and I gave it a 2 out of 5. Like, it's kind of weird because now thinking about my issues with the book, like the things that I just didn't like about it, I feel like it could be like a 3-star read. But at the same time, like, it felt more, I did not connect with it at all. Like, I just did not like it while reading it. So I don't know if I was to reread it now, like, right now, next month, you know, after, so I read it the first. So, like, literally, like, a month and 6 days later, you know, would I give it a 3? I don't think so. But maybe in, like, 5 years it might become, I don't know. It's just, I just didn't like it. It mostly got a 2-star because that non-binary representation, I'm here for that. And it was good. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and slide another star your way, you know. But yeah, I was tired. I literally wrote, I'm tired. I willed myself through since I had nothing else to do, and then because I was almost done. Like, it wasn't even that I just didn't like the plot line. I knew the plot line going in. And just even, like, the whole topic of rape, like, that doesn't bother me. Like, literally, there's a book that I had to read in 9th grade for a field trip. Like, an extra field trip that students could do if they read all the books, you know, and then, like, paid for the trip to go on, you know, like an extra bonusy trip that you could do for you book nerds, where you could talk about the books that you're supposed to read. Like, I read that book for that, and I really liked it. It was about that topic. I'm not gonna, like, say the book titles because I think it's hinted at for that one in, like, the first chapter prologue, but it's not, like, talked about till the end, if I remember correctly. So, I won't spoil that one. And then the other one, I need to read the book, but I watched the movie, and I love that movie. And I know I'll like the book. My brother just prefers the movie. He already read the book. He has the book. That's why I can read it whenever I want. You know, I'll be like, yo, Andy, can I borrow that book? And Andy will be like, I mean, I already read it, so, like, whatever, sure. Like, just, I'll borrow your books whenever I want to. And it's like, nice. But that movie deals with it at the very end, and I really like that movie, so nothing with the topic. But yeah, I remember at the beginning, I found it really cringy. I know specifically I did not like the romance. Although it wasn't really romance, it was more of like them just lusting after each other. Like the whole lust, trying to find comfort in another person while going through this experience. It was more of that than really a romance. But I didn't like it. I just felt like the book could have done without it, honestly. Like, if you took it out, like, the book would have been fine. I felt like it was kind of just there to be there. You know, like, so I didn't really care for it. I remember just reading it, I was like, again. And, like, I had hopes that I might actually enjoy it, because it's not like I don't like romance. Because sometimes hopeless romantic comes out. Then other times, you know, I'm usually more so with shows and movies. I'm like, that just tired aromantic that would just like to not read romance for once. But when I'm reading books, specifically YA books, I'm expecting there's probably going to be some romance. And oh, sometimes I just love it. You know, sometimes I'm such a hopeless romantic. To just, you know. But, yeah, I just didn't like that one. Mostly it's kind of annoying because, like, with the book, because, like, I know that it was not Hannah's story, who was the friend, if my notes are right. That's the only name I have written down is Hannah's name, and it was, like, and, like, yeah, like, okay, so I think that was also, like, with reviews everyone's pointing out, like, it's always about, like, this happened to Hannah, and everyone that I've seen, like, talk about the book kind of point out what happened to Hannah, and how, like, you usually don't see that in books. And I think maybe even just knowing that going into the book kind of made it worse for me, because I felt like Hannah was obviously overshadowed by the main character story. I felt like Hannah just did not get enough, like, she didn't speak enough in the book. Like, I felt like she just wasn't there enough. Like, and so, like, while I was reading it, it almost felt like Hannah's story just didn't matter. Like, what actually happened to her, more so just than the situation that they're in. And that the main character and what happened to her just mattered more. Like, I get she's the main character, and that's why I was saying, I don't know, maybe 5 years down the road, like, I'll forget about what I heard people saying about the book, and I'll give it a 3-star. But, like, I don't know, like, it just bothered me. Yeah. And then the other thing I didn't like, I did not like the mom, and obviously you're not supposed to like the mom, but I didn't like the mom's character because to me she just came off as not realistic. Like, even the main character thought that the mom was like, what? Was surprised how the mom was defending the son so much. And it's just the mom is supposed to be like, you know, she writes for a feminist magazine, like, she's always been like, I think the thing was like, she's like, oh, don't tell me you were the kind of mom that would just burn their bras and stuff, you know, like, going so out there, you know, like, it'd be as embarrassing as a child, like, Mom, you did, aw, man, like, now I know that everyone knows that you know, like, one of those situations, and she's like, no, but I did some stuff, you know, and it's like, okay, so she's that kind of mom. She's also described as cool, so just going off that, she makes me think of my mom, who is cool, concert goer, takes us to concerts. She also, like, well, doesn't write for a feminist magazine, keeps up with all the politics going on, like, very closely, you know, obviously, like, really support, I mean, literally, like, even just with 2 kids that aren't straight and cis, like, she's just very supportive, like, she's cool. Like, cool, nice mom. So I'm expecting that something that this mom would do is probably something that my mom would do, because they kind of make me think of each other. No, my mom, I literally asked her, I was like, Mom, would you do this? Like, I don't think you would be supporting, like, me or my brother if, like, we did this. And my mom's like, no, I would sit you down and I would be asking if you did this, because if you did, like, you are getting an app, you know, like, she's like, I will go strict on you, like, I will go mom on you, like, just more that kind of mom, not, oh my god, it's okay, you know, because that's how that mom was, and it was just weird. So, like, knowing how my mom was, how my mom is, and how that mom was, like, it just didn't feel realistic to me. I don't know if other people's moms, it feels realistic, but just with me and my mom being the cool mom, it just didn't feel realistic. And, like, literally, it's not even, like, my mom's, like, you know, like, she's got temper sometimes, but, like, usually she's chill. She's a cool, chill mom, you know, but, like, she you know, so, yeah, anyway, I still talk too much about that book, but I guess it can't be helped. So the next book I read was Trollhunters, and, yeah, I picked it up. I like the show. I still haven't finished season 1. I have seen almost all of season 1 of the second part, of the Tales of Arcadia. Literally, that's because the girls put it on. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch. I haven't finished Trollhunters yet, but, like, I can't, like, not watch TV while it's on. So, yeah, I still gotta finish Trollhunters, but I really like it. And I knew that the book was different than the show. But, like, literally, I mean, even, like, my favorite thing, like, my favorite book I've always just considered to be Phantom of the Opera, because I love the musical, I love Phantom of the Opera, I love different adaptations of Phantom of the Opera. My favorite adaptation is literally, like, the 1990, I can't remember the exact year, like, TV special where Charles Dance was Eric, and, like, literally, that's completely different from the book, like, and, oh, what was in there? There was another thing, I think, recently, too, that I read that was just, oh, like, also later you'll see I read Howl's Moving Castle. Like, that's completely different from the movie, but, like, I still really liked it, you know? So I'm just going in expecting, You know, I'm probably not gonna love it, but I'm gonna like it. No, I did not like it. I gave it a 2 out of 5 star. Mostly, I just had issues. I didn't like the pacing, because the pacing was, as I'll demonstrate by my rotating chair, there would be times where it's just going on and on, da-da-da, you know, just stuff's happening, school stuff, character stuff. Then, oh my god, something's happening, there's a troll, you know, like, da-da-da. Which, like, makes sense, you know. And then, oh my god, there's something happening, you know, like, and this all makes sense, it was going slow, but, like, it just is so weird, like, I don't know, like, I was expecting, like, even just the know about the troll world, like, you know, like, I don't know, I feel like the show almost does the pacing a bit better. Maybe it's because those are episodes and this is a book, it just feels kind of weird for it to go da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Because, like, it was jarring to me, and, like, books that even have parts where are just slow haven't really bothered me yet. It's just, this one was, like, really bothering me. Like, the parts that dragged, I felt like they dragged too much on, and then the parts that I felt like were exciting just felt a little bit too short. Like, the dragging on parts, I was getting bored, and I was like, oh my god, like, something's happening. And I had a feeling this was going to be, like, a 3-star read throughout almost the entire thing, but I just kept getting bored, and then excited, and then just really, really bored. And then the other thing was, what is the age range for this book? Like, I get it's a YA, which is a large age gap, but, like, I was confused. Because if you watch the show, like, for instance, his friend, that's how he is kind of in the book. You know, like, and literally even in the book, his grandma has so many cats. Like, and the dentist is really like that in the book, too. Like, those kind of things, like, they make sense for, like, a cartoon. Like a kid's, like, I wouldn't necessarily say kids, like, preteen, older kid show. Like, it makes sense to have, things that are just so, like, I don't know, like, exaggerated. Like, those, like, old lady with cats. Exaggerated, she's got, like, 100 cats. Like, it just makes sense for a show. And it would make sense for a book for, like I said, like, kind of, like, the age range of, like, the show, it's, like, you know, like, the base audience. Obviously, like, I'm 23 and I like the show. Like, any ages can like the show, like, Avi. But, like, at the same time, like, when you're making something, you usually have, like, an audience in mind. And I just was confused. I was like, what is the audience? Because you got things like that. I knew going in that anything with blood might be a bit graphic, just from, like, literally, like, the plot summary bit, which is essentially, like, the prologue. Like, I was like, okay, so, like, maybe, like, but with a bit of gore? You know, it's supposed to be horror. But then there were some bits, like, he's running through the red light district, and even describes how this one troll doesn't have actual nipples, she has buttons instead. And then at one point, his friend is like, it's been a while since I've watched the show and read the book, so I can't fucking think of their names. But, like, at one point, like, while they're waiting for the troll to show up, he's, like, looking up porn, and it's like, what is the age? I don't understand. I just was kind of confused because it felt like maybe, like, a 15-year-old, maybe it was meant for. I mean, that's about the age of the characters. But at the same time, I couldn't figure it out. It just was like, wait, what's happening? Like, what? I don't know. I was just confused. Yeah, I didn't, like, hate the book, though. It's not like the last one where, like, I didn't like it. But, like, I didn't like it either. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. And so I got a 2-star. But yeah, then the next one I read, see, like, for instance, this one, it's going to be a lot shorter, so while I talk too much about those last two, some of these books are going to be shorter. For instance, like this one, I read A Very Large Expanse of Sea, and gosh darn, this is what I wrote in my reading journal. I think this sums up my thoughts in the book pretty well, and why I got a 5 out of 5. That book fucked me up. It was so good. I need my own copy. Fuck. I literally cried some. I don't know what else to say because damn. And I think that sums up my thoughts of the book pretty well. There were a few books where I was like, oh my god, can everyone just read this book, please? And this was one of them. So those books that I read this month, I don't have much to say except for, can you read this? Like, can you read this? Can you read this? So, yeah. So the next book I read after that, I read on Libby, and I read The Shadow Queen. I had heard that what is it? Is it the third one? Is like a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which I was kind of interested in. That sounded kind of cool. But that's the third book, so obviously I'd have to get through the first and the second one. So I saw, like, the first one seemed to be, like, it'd probably be maybe a 3-star, you know, kind of read. I'm like, I'll read a 3-star just so I can get to something that I might think might be interesting. Like, who knows, you know? So I gave it a 2, though. A 2 out of 5. This one was really just pretty much the pacing. Like, to me, it felt like it started out too fast, but I did pick up on things. And it was a solid 3-star for pretty much the first half of the book, but then when it got to the second half of the book is when the pacing really got to me. There was a chapter, for at least half the chapter, I literally thought that it was a dream sequence. I was like, there's no way this is happening. Like, there's no way that the character is already caught up with them after, like, 2 chapters of when he just set off. Like, I know they're in the same country, but they're in the same, like, you know, country, kingdom. Like, you know, like, I don't know if this is exactly a spoiler, because I felt like it was just something they didn't explain. That character, he just runs faster than, like, humans. But they don't say that till, like, later in the book, so I'm like, oh, that's why he caught up with them so yeah, that makes sense. I thought it was a dream sequence till, like, halfway through, when I'm like, there's no way this is a dream sequence. Is this actually happening? But yeah, then I also just didn't really care for the characters much. I felt like there was just too much happening in the second half. Like, you're taking down a kingdom, and, like, the whole second half is just, we're destroying this bridge, we're destroying this thing, we're destroying this thing. And they were just happening in, like, one chapters, like just destroying the bridge is just, like, a chapter. It just, that part of the book just felt, like, too fast for me. And then I thought I was gonna actually end up liking one of the characters, and I ended up just not caring at the end, so I ended up getting, like, a 2 out of 5. Man, this video is already longer than I wanted. So the next one I read was The Moon Was Ours, which I have. Where did I put it? Did I put it in my... I put it in my closet. Of course I did. I already put it away because this is like my 3rd time filming this. So I'll just put a picture. But I read When the Moon Was Ours. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I got the book on sale, and it sounded interesting, and it sounded like it was up my alley. I was like, I think I'm gonna like this. I think it's gonna be like maybe a 3 or 4 star. No, it was a 5-star. Like, I really liked it. I just thought it was very beautiful. I really liked the writing. And just Sam's journey to, like, I wrote Sam's journey to acknowledging and accepting who he is. It was just really interesting to read about. And just really good. Like, yes, like, it just, Sam's character was really interesting, though, like, because Sam's a trans guy, and acknowledging, you know, that he's a trans guy, and then, like, coming to accept it, like, that's kind of his storyline. It just was very interesting how it was done, and, yeah, I really liked it. Like, good book, you know. For instance, like, just Sam's journey, I just specifically was like, wow, this is interesting, you know, so, you know, no spoilers except for, obviously, it has a happy ending, so, you know, there's going to be some acceptance, you know, so, it's happy ending, which I guess is happy. I'll just say it's a happy ending. So the next one I read was, I listened to the audiobook for Autoboyography, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. Yeah. That one, I'm just going to read what I wrote for this one. There were twice where tears were shed. I don't know much to say. It was really good. Sebastian is a precious boy that we must protect. I didn't care for Autumn. until the end. And yeah, I thought the audiobook was just a bit too fast, but that's fine. Like, it was just all in all great. Like, I literally, like, I cried a few times. It was really good. It was really good. So, if you wanna, like, if you need some of that, you know, bi guy, and just gay guy, and just the whole acceptance, and just then there's the whole, like, religion aspect, and just, like, what does that mean, you know, like, for my life, you know, like, just, it was good. I can't say anything else. It was good. Okay, so the next one I read is another one that I don't really have much to say because it just was good and powerful, and that was The Hate U Give. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. That's just another one of the books where I was like, can you read this? Can you read this? Can y'all just read this book? Like, I can see why people talk about this book with, like, the videos that I watch on, like, BookTube. Like, I can see, like, it is just really good. It's really powerful. It's one of those things, like, I know with the last, with, like, A Very Large Expanse of Sea, I know that one was powerful and it was a romance. This one is powerful and it actually has, like, a, like she has a boyfriend in it, and just, yeah, like, it didn't overpower things, though. Like, it was interesting to read, like, a romance, but, like, it was so, like, a subplot. And then, you know, like, Chris was just, he was a cool character anyway. But, like, yeah, like, Star and, like, Chris's relationship was just, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I was like, wow, I'm reading a YA with a romance, where the romance isn't all that much in the book, because there is some important topics that need to be talked about. And I was just, but yeah, it's just, can everyone just read this? So the next book I read is actually on my shelf because I bought a physical copy, actually literally just this weekend, so I had to use a picture in the other ones, but I can pull out a physical copy now. So I read this Savage Song, and I bought this one after I read it, because I read it on Libby, and then I bought this, and I also went ahead and bought Our Dark Duet because I wanted to read this month if I get to it. Yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. It was different than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, like, I thought the character art's really interesting. I thought the world itself was really interesting. Like, the only reason it didn't get a 5 star was because as you saw those 5 stars, like, I really like this, but those last ones were, like, so good, and they, like, fucked me up, and I was like, did this fuck me up? No, but it was a really good, enjoyable read. So, maybe another time when I'm not reading a bunch of really good books beforehand, I would give this a 5 star, but I gave it a 4 star. But yeah, I know, I had to pause because the camera was dying. But yeah, like, or not camera was dying, the time that I can film was ending. Because it only lets me film like 29 minutes at a time. But anyway, so yeah, I almost feel like it could have even gotten a 5 star if maybe I was not sick. I felt sick while I was reading this one. This was the 15th to the 18th. And it took me that many days partly because I just didn't feel well. I did read most of it in like one sitting, but I just didn't feel well. So for like the first like so many pages, I was just kind of, and then like I'm starting to feel a little better. So I'm like, yeah, I really like the characters and the character arcs, like how they start and then how it ends at the end. But like also just even the world with like how these monsters are even created. I just thought it was all very interesting. I'm excited to read the next book. Oh, and then the other thing that I really liked, I really liked how I could read like a supernatural, like fantasy monsters, like, just a good, solid read, and it had no romance in it. Which I heard that there was no romance in it, and I was like, I am here for no romance. I know with our dark duet, I have spoiled one part of the ending for myself by accident, because I wanted to make sure that when I heard someone say this book did not have any romance, I wanted to make sure that it continued to not have any romance in the second book. And like I usually do by accident, because whether I'm doing it on purpose or by accident, it happens. I spoiled part of the end of this book, so I do know the one thing that's going to happen. Won't say that because it's a spoiler, but I have already been spoiled. But yeah, 4 out of 5 star read. Gotta put it back up there. Okay. So the next one I read, which I mentioned earlier, was I read Howl's Moving Castle. I gave it a 4 out of 5 star. I knew that it was different than the book, than the movie, obviously. The movie, it's not my favorite Studio Ghibli film. I do like it. As a kid, when I saw it, it kind of confused me. And even, like, a bit older, like, as, like, teen years rewatching it, it always felt like something was missing. And now I know what that missing thing was. Like, the second half of the book is completely different from the movie. Even, like, without saying spoilers for, like, the book, if you watch the movie, like, just even the beginning of the book, like, you know how, like, the door has the different colors, and you turn to the color, and then when you open the door, it's a different city. In the movie, the black knob, I don't even remember. I just remember from the movie that, like, Howl, turns into, like, a bird. It kind of makes me think almost like, harpy, like how they look in myth. And he turns into that, and, flies, and it looks really stormy, like, violent, I think he's fighting in, like, a war or something. I don't remember. It's been so long since I actually watched the movie. I kind of want to, like, rewatch the movie soon now that I've actually read the book. But in the book, that is not where the black one goes at all. The black one, without really giving too much away, without saying, like, the thing where I'm like, what? I'll just say, like, it goes to where Howl's from. I won't say where he's from, but I just was not expecting that. And just even, like, the ending, like, with, like, who the villain is and stuff at the end, like, it just was, I didn't really know what was gonna happen, like, because it just was so different from the movie, but, like, I really liked it, and, again, it wasn't one of the ones I was still not feeling well. like, with these books, like, I was feeling well enough that some good books, I gotta eat them, I was raised by bookworms. Gotta eat them, because that's so good. But yeah, I still just was not feeling well, so it took me a little bit longer to read this one as well. But yeah, like, I really liked it, and I want to read the second and third books as well, and maybe even, like, other books by her as well, just, I really like the writing style. Like, going in, like, I was like, oh, so this is how the book is written. Oh, I like this. Like, that's how it was for me. I'm like, I like this, It's some good prose right here, some good writing. I like this. So yeah. So I only got 2 more books. So then I read Strange the Dreamer. I apparently took, like, 3 days where I did not read anything. I don't know what I was doing then. But by the time I read Strange the Dreamer, I was actually feeling better. That one, it did take me, like, 3 days to read, partly just because I think in the beginning I wasn't feeling well, and I kind of was like, was I multi-reading? Oh, yeah, because I think I was trying to also read the one other book at the same time. I wanted to read that one before I read Strange the Dreamer, so I read, like, a third of that one, and I was reading a bit of Strange the Dreamer, and I'm like, I kind of want to read that. But I need to read this one. But I want to read this one. But then when I started reading Strange the Dreamer and I got into it, I couldn't put it down. Like, it was really good. Like, first line I wrote down in my journal for my full thoughts was just, that was really good. But yeah, like, I figured out how it was, like, I figured out the one part of the ending, like, really early on, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. So the whole time I was still guessing, like, how is this ending going to happen, though? Like, I know it's got to end like this, right? But, like, how's it going to happen? I don't know. I'm excited. And just even the writing, like, I really like the writing style. I thought it was just freaking beautiful. And I want to pick up this Daughter of Smoke and Broken trilogy because, gosh darn, like, I like that, you know, with some good stuff. And I know one of the books that I've checked out that I'm going to read this month is Muse of Nightmares. And I expect that's probably also going to be a 5 out of 5 star. Just, yeah, I know it was interesting reading Stranger Dreamer. I can imagine some people would probably, that didn't like it, I can imagine they probably think it's too slow, that there's not enough happening. It was so weird. Like, I felt like there wasn't much happening, but yet at the same time, it just didn't feel slow. I went through it so fast. It didn't feel like it was as long as it was. It just really pulled me in, you know? Like, I was just munching away at those pages. I just found it so interesting when I finished. I'm like, wow. I feel like not a lot happened for those many pages, but at the same time, like, I was not bored. It didn't feel slow. It was so interesting. I think maybe part of it could have even been the fact that obviously there's a romance. If you couldn't tell from the plot that there's a romance, I don't know what to tell you. But, like, obviously it's got romance in it. The romance doesn't happen till later in the book, and maybe that was part of the reason. I don't know. Like, I just thought that was really interesting. But yeah, I really like the characters too. They're all very interesting. There were a lot of characters where I was just like, are they going to do the thing? Are they going to do the thing? Are they going to do the thing? I don't know. I know the one thing's going to happen, but how's it going to happen? I don't know. And I just love the world too. It was a very interesting and just really good read. So I'm looking excited for you right over there. So then the last book I read, I had debated about, should I finish and sit down and finish reading Lair of Dreams? Didn't. Read that in March. That'll be the next wrap-up. But I did check out a novella, and it's I'm Afraid of Men, which is biographical and autobiographical, and that was literally all I wrote down. I gave it a 5 out of 5, by the way, and this is all I wrote down. I wrote this one sentence right here, this tiny little sentence. I wrote, all I can say and want to say is read it. It's so short. Just read it. Like, just pick it up. Just check it out from your library or Libby, because they don't really have any physical copies in the library system of the whole area, because my library is part of, you know, like, the whole Cleveland system, so, like, all, pretty much just all of Northeast Ohio. It's connected to a bunch of libraries. I don't know why I kept doing that. I don't know what I'm doing. But, yeah, they only had, like, a few, like, physical copies, and I wasn't going to be like, yo, can I get this copy from the library? You know, if I can, I don't want to do that. Like, if I can just check it out digitally, I'll do that instead, you know? So, I checked it out digitally, and I read it in, like, one sitting. It didn't take me that long. And I just was like, see this short book? Y'all need to read it. Everyone should just pick it up. Don't stop. Just sit down, read this book. That's my thoughts. Like, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Goodbye. Yeah. It was really good. But yeah, those were the 12 books that I read. And obviously I've been putting pictures up, but oh, there they all are. There's all the books that I read, because I'm doing this thing where I do that with my readings because it's pretty. I'm doing it because it's pretty, and no other reasons why. It's pretty. Also, I guess maybe it makes it looking easier in coming months. I don't know. I'm going to do the same exact thing in my journal as well. That's just my planner journal, just because it's pretty. But yeah, so those are the books that I read this month. This video is still too long. I don't think any editing can really change that, because it was 12 books. And I had some thoughts about a few, so yeah, I can't really condense it down any further. So, future Des that's editing, I'm sorry. You can't do anything. I'm sorry. It's hopeless. But yeah, anyway, this has been my February wrap-up. I will say, if I read this many books this month, I'll read more. Because for all I know, I might read more. If I read that many, I might do like a 2-part wrap-up. Because this is just way too long. Like, I watch wrap-ups and most people, like, they're like, I read these 6, 7 books and here I am, like, I read 12 books because I've got nothing else going on right now. Even now with schoolwork, I'm like, OMGG. School just started again. First 4 weeks, like, am I gonna read that many still? I don't know. If I do, there's gonna be 2 videos because this is too much. But yeah. I need a drink of like tea or something. So I need to go do that. But yeah, so I'm Des from Aro-Tarot and I am logging off. So